on, guys? Welcome to another episode of No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast. The wrestling podcast where we talk about anything that's going on in WWE and no holds barred on what we say. Today we're going to be talking about one person. She made a huge impact at WrestleMania 32 and now, or 31, sorry. And now there are some talks about having her in a match at WrestleMania 32. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about Ronda Rousey. I'm your host, Kyle Masters, as always. I'm alone in the studio today, but that's not going to stop me from talking about this. Apparently, WWE is interested in having Stephanie McMahon versus Ronda Rousey in a one-on-one match at next year's WrestleMania, which would be WrestleMania 32. It's not made official yet. Like, there's no deal set in place. It's just what WWE wants to happen. Apparently, there is an understanding between Ronda Rousey and WWE to have a match for the big event next year. Whether or not that was part of the WrestleMania 31 talks or they've been talking about this for a long time, we don't know. But apparently, there is an understanding between the two on having at least one match in the WWE, and they want it at next year's WrestleMania. The biggest obstacle is the UFC, obviously. I mean, Ronda actually is going to need permission to go to the WWE for a match. UFC did sign off on her part/role at WrestleMania 31. I mean, she didn't really get that physical. She only grabbed Steph by the arm and arm drag Triple H, which was not that huge, but, you know, UFC had to be okay with it, and they were okay with that. Now they just have to okay her actually wrestling in a match for WWE. If the UFC says no, WWE is actually likely, or most likely, looking at The Rock versus Triple H at WrestleMania 32 and having Stephanie McMahon and Ronda Rousey in the corners of the two. Ronda obviously being with The Rock and Stephanie being with Triple H. I guess WWE has been wanting Steph versus Ronda since SummerSlam of last year, but they never gotten talks to Ronda about it until now. And I guess more talks about it since her role at WrestleMania was actually huge, and that got a lot of viewership ratings. So, yeah. Let's get down to my opinion about this. You know what? I actually want to see this match happen. There's a lot of people out there that don't want to see it because they just hate how these cross-branded people just keep thinking that they can go on each other's brands and pull it off, i.e. CM Punk and now Ronda Rousey, and I guess you can include Brock Lesnar in this too. Ronda versus Steph, I think, will sell. That is a huge match. I mean, you can even put that as a co-main event and it'll be a huge match. Now, if they're one-on-one, the question is, do they have two matches on the card? Like, they're going to have that match and they're going to have Rock Triple H? Or is Rock and Triple H going to be in the corner? I mean, that would be boring as hell if The Rock was in the and Triple H were in the corner of their wives. I mean, no one wants to see that. It's boring as shit. Triple H is still in good shape. The Rock is still in good shape. They can both put on a match. I kind of want to see both of them happen in separate matches. Now, if the UFC says no, I'm actually for them pushing Triple H versus The Rock. Triple H and The Rock should be a freaking unreal match. I mean, they're both in, like, unreal shape. Like, they're both at the prime shape. It could definitely produce a 20 to 30 minute match. By, like, 100% for sure. My opinion on whether the UFC would say yes or no, I think the UFC would be... I'm like 70% sure that the UFC will say no. Reason being, risk of injuring their top UFC star. I mean, if Ronda Rousey gets injured at a match and it's a long-term injury and they can't book her in UFC, then, you know, they're losing money right there, and that's not good publicity. Maybe it would be smarter to actually just have them in the corners of The Rock and Triple H. I mean, they could still pull off some stuff like they did at WrestleMania 31 at ringside. I mean, you can do something like that. Like, remember when Donald Trump clotheslined Mr. McMahon on the side of the ring? Like, they can do something like that. And I think it'd be really more entertaining with them in the corners of Rock and Triple H than having a match if the UFC says no. Now, if the UFC says yes, by all means, have this fucking match, please. I think the crowd wants to see this match. Ronda Rousey's a huge wrestling fan. She's been a wrestling fan for a long time. I think it'd be like a dream come true to her to have a match in WWE, and what better way to have your first match at freaking Wrestlemania? Like, it's huge. I could see Ronda Rousey signing with WWE after her current contract is up. I mean, she's been a wrestling fan for a long time. I'm sure that's like one of her dreams is to be a WWE diva. That would be insane if Ronda Rousey became a WWE diva. I mean, the Divas division would be incredible. It should be insane. I mean, you have Ronda Rousey would probably be one of the top people. Well, you know what? Not probably. She would be one of the top people. She'd be brought in just like Brock Lesnar. Maybe have like a Brock Lesnar contract as well. And just be that top badass fighting diva. Possible feuds if she ever does come to WWE. This is just a fantasy of mine. I think she should either face Paige, Charlotte, or like Sasha Banks, like one of the other top stars, because of course AJ Lee wasn't there. I'd say AJ Lee if she was still there. But holy crap, if Ronda Rousey would sign with the WWE, that would be intense. But if Triple H and The Rock do have a feud, how early do you start this feud? I mean, do they start at the Royal Rumble? Do you have like Triple H screw The Rock in the Royal Rumble, or vice versa? Like, how would you start this feud? Like, now are they gonna, like, even if this feud happens, do they incorporate the Authority? Do you have Seth Rollins jump in as well, or J&J Security, or Corporate Kane, or Corporate Show, one of the others? So it's just huge, like, or do you just like keep it separate? Like, do you have them just build off of feuds from their past moments together in like the Attitude Era and their past matches? I think that's probably what they're most likely gonna do. But I think if they're gonna have Triple H versus The Rock, you're gonna need to build a feud just as good as they did with The Rock and John Cena, because Rock Triple H would be an unreal match. And if they're both, it's not like a Duster legend coming back and fighting like a 10-minute match, like a feel-good story match. No, these guys are in prime shape. They could put off a good match. So you need to build this feud early. And my opinion, I think they should start at least at SummerSlam. Something to do with that. They not too much, and then kind of build towards Survivor Series, and then as soon as the Royal Rumble hits, go full on, get The Rock out of Hollywood, have him coming out on Raw or SmackDown, build some promos up, just like he did with John Cena. So just to like amp up this match to the extreme. Now, it's not main event caliber, in my opinion, because obviously the title is going to be the main event. It would definitely be like either the same spot where they put Sting versus Triple H at WrestleMania 31, or a little bit later, like maybe like right before the co-main event. Or if there's not another good match, have it the co-main event. If I had to pick a winner out of both these matches, so let's take the Ronda Rousey Stephanie McMahon match. If I had to pick a winner, I'd say Ronda would win. I know they could just bring Ronda and get buried by Steph or something like that, but like, I think Ronda would absolutely win this match. And if they had Rock versus Triple H, I want to pick Triple H, but you know what? I kind of see The Rock doing it. I don't see The Rock losing 2 WrestleManias in a row, and Triple H winning 31 and 32. Like, I don't see him winning 2 in a row. So I'd pick The Rock for sure, but I think it's going to be a really, really intense match, like 800 finishers each, back and forth. Yeah, now whether or not they incorporate DX, Triple H, or HBK is the question. You know what? I really think WWE should have one of these feuds happen, or both of them happen. That would be a huge boost for WrestleMania next year. And I think Ronda Rousey, I think Ronda Rousey will sign with the WWE as soon as her UFC contract is done. So hopefully UFC lets her come and do this. If not, you know what? I'd be happy still if she'd be at ringside. But yeah, that's it on the whole Ronda Rousey, Rock, Triple H, and Steph story, guys. Other than that, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, follow us on Twitter at NoHoldsBarredWP, guys. It would really help a lot. I mean, slacking, but you know what? We're not complaining. We're just doing what we love to do, and it's these podcasts. So yeah, that's it for this bit of news today, guys. I'm your host, Kyle Masters, as always. This has been another episode of No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast, the wrestling podcast where we talk about anything going on in WWE and no holds barred on what we say. And that's it.